Hello everybody, I'm back. The first part of our custom movie component gave us a fully walking pawn. Just look what it's capable of. But it's missing something. Ah, it has no way of falling. And that's because we kind of made it perma-stuck onto the floor and unable to fall due to the effects of gravity. So, let's fix that. We're first going to start by adding a simple state machine, as it's the easiest way to split up and isolate specific behaviors to the current physical state the pawn is in. I made a custom enum called E movement states. You could theoretically use the stock E movement mode that the CMC uses, but remember, the goal here is to make a totally bespoke system departed from the character class's related code. Choice is yours, honestly. Whatever you decide, we just need to hold on to a current state here so that it persists through our updates. We also need some update methods. Here I have grounded movement update and airborne movement update. These two are what the dedicated current movement state will force the component to use based on the intended state/mode, whichever you chose. A good helper method for flow control and state cleanup is set movement state with extra helpers called start and end movement state. When we call set movement state, it first verifies the current state isn't already the desired new state. If it passes, we call end movement state first to clean up any properties or velocity changes. Then we set current state to the new one, and then we call start state. And that's it.
These methods are implemented, but how do we use them and isolate the logic like you said earlier?
Right. Let's make the tick component method dumb. What should already exist in this method is literally what grounded movement update will do. So we can just cut and paste it into it, leaving tick component an empty husk whose insides will just be a switch statement. Grounded goes to grounded movement update. Airborne goes to airborne movement update.
But what even is airborne movement update, and what's it supposed to do?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Airborne functions sort of like grounded movement, where we get the input direction in a flat 2D space, so X and Y. We use a separate property for air acceleration, clamp lateral velocity to max airspeed, and then safe move plus slide against surfaces. Then you can reproject the velocity like I have here too. The key differences lie here. We need to, in this case, add get gravity Z and have a gravity scale multiplier property on the pawn to tune how fast we fall, and apply it to velocity Z. Get gravity Z gives us a negative number. That's why we are adding it instead of subtracting it. With these two methods in place, we should be able to test and still not falling. Duh. We haven't actually done anything to switch the movement state. We need grounded movement to switch to airborne when there's no floor detected, and airborne needs to switch to grounded when grounded. It's pretty simple actually. In grounded movement, at the end of all that moves, we try to find the floor again. If that newly found floor is no longer walkable, then set movement state to airborne. Now, how do we get back to grounded? Well, pretty much the opposite way. At the end of the air movement, we try to find the floor again. If found, it's walkable, and also the distance to said floor is less than our max hover height, then we are considered on the ground and can switch over to that. You should also consider zeroing out the Z velocity here. You could just set it to 0, but you might run into issues when trying to jump right at the exact moment of landing. Therefore, we can use a max between velocity Z and 0. So we ignore all of the negative Z and only focus on the positives, like we all should do in our lives. A little guy has a little taste of the glory.
See what it tastes like.
Gravity suits him well, but something else is missing. I feel like there's something more that it could be doing. Something a short Italian man who eats far too much spaghetti can do.
Welcome to bonus stage.
What does Mario do that our pawn can't? A. Get friend-zoned by the women you save. B. Maintain a mushroom addiction. C. Constantly try to outshine your bro because you're insecure. Or D. Jump. Jump. The answer was jump. Jumping is simple. Plus, it's the only one we can really program, so we can do this inside the movement component. It's not as convenient as the character class jump method, but still does the thing. All jump does is ensures we are grounded first. Otherwise, we would be able to keep jumping in the air like this. If jumping is allowed, it sets the velocity z to whatever our jump z will be. So it's an immediate vertical velocity. And then we set the movement state to airborne. This way, airborne update applies gravity to bring us back down to the floor. Now our pawn gets to move, fall, and jump. Fully realized, kinda. Small little tidbit here, and it's actually a slight quality of life change for grounded movement. In our move along floor method, just when it hits the wall, if the pawn cannot step up this collision, like it failed to climb the stairs because it's either too high or too steep of a slope, instead of feeding slide along surface the raw normal of the rejected hit, we can exclude the z aspect of this normal and normalize 2D it so that any hit at this point is treated as a perfectly vertical wall. This stops the pawn from slightly climbing an unwalkable slope. You could also just have some sliding logic here to force the pawn back down the steep slope if needed instead. Like I said before, this is a completely bespoke system, so you can shape this into whatever you want. Someone asked for momentum-based movement and I kind of went down a rabbit hole. I wanted to see how I could make this component become more momentum-based. While I haven't gotten it to a point like real momentum-based movements go, I am having fun with keeping velocity flowing through movements and never actually being directly set or clamped manually. I'm doing this by only using opposing forces to hold the velocity at a target speed. Basically, I treat speed limits as a suggestion and never an actual hard limit. Exactly what I told the cops at least. It doesn't work. Anyways, good luck, have fun, and thanks for watching. See ya in the next one. I stream here. Bye!